What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we are talking about Terrifier 2. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Liam. As I talk about anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about Terrifier 2. So without further ado, let's get into the review. And continuing on our Terrifier review series in preparation for Terrifier 3, we are now at Terrifier 2. This was an absolute surprise for me when I first saw this movie. You know, the first movie, Terrifier, is such a proof of concept of this character, and I didn't know what I was going to expect once we got into Terrifier 2. Was it going to be a lot of the same things? Was it going to be just there for the brutality of the kills? Was there going to be no story? That was my worry coming into this film, was that there wasn't going to be much meat on the bone beyond the kills. How much crazier can the kills get? And when I watched it, I was so surprised to learn that this was a full-fledged movie, a full story, and exploring more of this character that I absolutely loved. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my pros. Now, starting with my pros, once again, Terrifier, Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton as this character is one of the best slashers of all time. I had some reservations of him being a horror icon from the first All Hallows Eve and the first Terrifier, but after Terrifier 2, I can personally say that he is one of my favorite slashers of all time, and this movie is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. This absolutely surprised me. I love Art the Clown. He is so much more brutal in this movie, and I love that we get to learn a little bit more. Where in the previous movie, they give you a glimpse of what he kind of is, this gives you a bunch of questions by exploring new ideas and the lore of Art the Clown, but it doesn't fully give you the answers. And in certain instances where that would be very frustrating, and I would hate that to happen, where you get all these questions and no answers, that can be very frustrating. But I think they did it in a way where it just builds more intrigue. It makes you want to see more of Art the Clown and learn more about his background story, his lore, his abilities, his powers, because it just goes so much further. And I just really enjoy that. There's so many great sequences in this movie. You know, you have like one of my favorite sequences is the dream sequence, when you're like in that kind of kid playground area and Art the Clown is just mows everybody down with this Tommy gun. That is one of my favorite moments in that entire film. And again, it just builds into what he can do. He has these abilities that we don't fully explore quite yet, that I hope we explore in Terrifier 3, but it's such a great concept, such a great character. And David Leone, again, coming back to direct this movie, does an even better job with the storytelling, with the directing style, with the practical effects. He goes above and beyond when it comes to the practical effects and practical gore in this movie. There are some sequences that are insane, that are so brutal, so grim and difficult to watch, but you can't take your eyes off of it. It's insane. It's insane how he's able to do this in these films, where it's just such a great time. It's such a blast to watch. Like these brutality of these kills are so insane. Like I said in the last one, they're almost laughable of how crazy they are. And again, those practical effects just stand out. You know, I'm always going to champion practical effects, because that just makes horror movies feel so much better. You know, when you look at older horror movies that had practical effects, they hold up way better now than those that had CGI effects. And David Leone is going to, you know, of course, be held as one of the best special effects, special graphic effects and practical gore effects of all time. He's going to be one of the greats when it comes to those visuals and those styles that he brings to the Terrifier franchise. And one thing that I was really glad to see is that the human element, the human characters, the good side, it gets fleshed out so much more. You have this family of this girl that she kind of seems to have some sort of abilities too. She has a connection to Art the Clown that we don't quite get the full answers yet. You get little glimpses of what the connection kind of may be, but it just gives you these very small pieces of the pie to try to kind of piece together, but it doesn't fully give you that full answer and it works. Like I said, most of the time, things like that where it doesn't give you an answer, I would hate it and be frustrated, but it works in this movie. And I really enjoy her character. I think her story arc all the way through is actually written very well. And then you have like her little brother that I think is a great character as well, and how he kind of reacts to the whole situation, where he's trying to kind of belittle these murders because he wants to dress up as Art the Clown for Halloween. And and then he starts to kind of slowly realize that what he's doing is kind of wrong. And by the end of it, him and his sister kind of standing up to Art the Clown is some great moments. You have some great fight sequences between the two. And I just love the human element character. The human elements in this movie, I think there's just fleshed out so much more. It has so much of a background story, much more of a story arc, as well as the way the characters are written are the best that the characters have ever been in these movies. I've said that Damien Leone's dialogue may not be the best, but in this movie, while there's still some lines and sequences that don't feel natural, I think the characters themselves feel a lot more real, feel more human than they ever had in this entire franchise. And I absolutely love the human characters in this movie. And I kind of spoke on this a little bit, but I just love the introduction of new characters. That you have like the little girl, Art the Clown type of thing, little Terrifier. You have a little bit more going on with the girl from the first Terrifier that got her face messed up, and a little bit more lore on how she's doing and what's going on with her. So it just fleshes out this world so much more, and it just makes the character of Art the Clown have so much more intrigue, and you just invest yourself in this character so much more. So I just really enjoy how much deeper the story goes, how much deeper the lore goes within this movie. And I absolutely love the soundtrack, the score. I think Art the Clown has one of the best kind of theme songs in a horror movie. I think that the way that sound of that song is when he kind of pops up, it's so iconic, it's so menacing, it's so chilling. It just amplifies, again, Art the Clown as this crazy murderous killer that is just so brutal. And it's that theme song, it just amplifies it. And I absolutely love it. Every time that theme song hits, you just know some shit's about to go down. And this is not necessarily a positive within the movie, but just a positive in general about the people behind this movie. I was lucky enough last year, or actually earlier this year, I should say. Yeah, earlier this year, I was lucky enough to actually meet Damien Leone at a horror con. And he is such an awesome guy, such a sweet dude, just so real and humble. And just talking to him a little bit about, his creation on Art the Clown and Terrifier, and how he kind of writes these crazy things down in his mind that he doesn't know if that's going too far, but he just wants to try it out and see what it kind of goes for. So, he's just such a great guy. And David Howard Thornton, I didn't get a chance to meet him because his line was way longer than Damien Leone's, but just they're sitting right next to each other. He seemed like such a sweet guy as well. To see this brutal killer in the movies and see him in real life and how sweet he is and how friendly and kind he is to everybody that he's meeting, it just makes the viewing pleasure of these movies so much better. That the people behind the films that are doing these movies are just such great people, such great filmmakers, such great actors and actresses. So that definitely just brings this movie up a whole star, in my opinion. But with that being said, let's go over into the cons. And again, just like the last movie, this is not necessarily my cons, but it is things that I would like to mention regardless, is again, the gore. This movie goes even further than Terrifier when it comes to the gore and the practical effects and the kills, and it might not be some people's cup of tea. But if you did not like the first Terrifier, not because of the gore, but because you didn't think it had a good enough story, definitely give Terrifier 2 a shot. It does a much better job of fleshing out the story. But again, if it's something to do with the way the gore looks, how brutal it gets, and that is not your cup of tea, that's not what you come to horror movies for, I absolutely understand that. This movie is definitely pretty brutal, and it might not be something that everybody can stomach, and that is totally fine. And the only other con that I can get is I think the final battle between our main protagonist and Art the Clown, at a certain point, I feel like it does drag on a little too much. So this movie kind of feels like it's 10 to 15 minutes too long, in my opinion, but I can live past that. I think this movie still earns the right to be that long, but for my preference, it's about 10 to 15 minutes, a little too long. But overall, let me know what you guys think about Terrifier 2. This has become quickly one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I am so excited for Terrifier 3. I cannot wait to see what Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton do with this character, do with this story, and how they're going to continue it on. I am so excited. I can't wait another second. Let me know what you guys think about Terrifier 2 in the comment section down below. Again, share your excitement for Terrifier 3. I know there's a lot of Terrifier fans out there that are so excited for this movie. So definitely let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comment section down below. But again, if you guys like anything movie, TV show, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.